Hi, my name is Crystal Olivaria, and I'm the Career Conversationalist. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about, should your child consider a 3D printing career? Discover what is the future of 3D printing. Avoid 3D printing frustration with prior preparation made easier. Learn where to go for further 3D printing exploration. Are you concerned about encouraging your child to pursue a career in a non-traditional field like 3D printing? Well, you have good reason to be concerned. There's a lot of hype about 3D printing, especially as more commercial printers become available on the market. Marketers are eager to sell 3D printers and their vision of how they will change the world and why you need to own one now. In a world of marketing hype, it can be challenging to gauge the accuracy of information. For example, have you ever bought a gadget that sounded great in a commercial and then was disappointed when you used the item and it did not live up to the expectations set forth by the commercial? Well, I think everyone who lives in a highly commercialized society experiences this. So it is completely understandable if you are hesitant to encourage your child to go forward in pursuing a career in 3D printing. Do you want to cut through the marketing hype and know the truth about 3D printing and the career potential? Discover what the future of 3D printing. If you do not know anything about the 3D printing industry, who do you trust to give you accurate, useful information? The majority of people will look towards the experts for advice. However, there's one really big problem with this approach. What if one expert says, 3D printing is the future and you need to get in now, while another expert says, 3D printing has a lot of potential, but it's still too early to get in. And a third expert says, 3D printing is risky because it is a novelty and we do not know how to apply it on a large scale. Each expert has a different opinion, so whose advice should you follow? When I listen to experts who have different opinions, I find myself thinking, how is it possible for so many experts to have different opinions on the same subject? To sort through it all, I find myself trying to understand what is making it possible for so many people to disagree on the topic at hand. The rationale I use is that someone who is conservative is going to look at the same industry differently than someone who takes more calculated risks. On the spectrum of ultra-conservative to futuristic, there are several positions in between, where people can view an industry from different perspectives. To simplify things, I like to categorize experts as being classified in one of the 5 following areas. 1. Innovators. 2. Early adopters. 3. Early majority. 4. Late majority. 5. Laggards. As an industry develops, it goes through phases. In the beginning, the inventors, also known as the innovators, create the technology. As the technology improves and there's practical application, some companies and investors will become early adopters. These early adopters will use the technology and continue to make modifications to make it more practical from a functionality and monetary standpoint. As this happens, the early majority of companies and people want to buy and use the technology. As society adopts the technology and it becomes the norm, the late majority begin to buy it and use the technology. Then there will be the laggards, who are last to adopt the technology after the majority of companies and people have. I like the image of the technology adoption curve, which happens to be a bell curve, as captured by Everett Rogers in his book, Diffusion of Innovations. People tend to adopt technology at varying rates. The relative speed of adoption can be placed as a normal distribution, with the primary differentiator being individuals' psychological disposition to new ideas. However, I would also like to add the likelihood of adoption is probably highly correlated with the amount of risk a company or person is willing to take to adopt new technology. Some companies will be more willing to accept risk for more rewards or greater return on investment. Advice from experts will vary and will be heavily influenced by the location of where they are on the technology adoption curve. I imagine advice about a career in the 3D printing industry from an expert in each of the 5 categories at the time of crafting this post will be as follows. Expert advice from an innovator. Now is a great time to be interested in the 3D printing industry. The industry started in the 80s, primarily focused on creating prototyping for industrial settings. The technology has come a long way since then. This technology is being used and developed to 3D print food, houses, and human organs from patients' own cells. My thoughts. Videos like 3D printing Make Anything You Want, 13 minutes and 50 seconds, demonstrate how advanced the 3D printing industry has become. The technology has been around since the mid-80s, mainly for typing in industrial settings. Professor Hod Lipson from Cornell University says that is changing. It has reached a level of technological maturity that it is used beyond prototyping to actually make functional parts used in reality in the aerospace industry as a good example. Some commercial planes are now outfitted with air ducts that are 3D printed and are made smoother, lighter, and cheaper than traditional method. I also find it interesting that while implanting printed kidneys like this is at least a decade away, it holds the potential to revolutionize organ transplants. When I hear statements like these, I think of companies with large research and development departments and budgets. Companies with large research and development departments and budgets are most likely going to be the employers crying about a talent shortage. These companies have a lot of money to invest and reinvest and need employees with high technical competency. Jobs already exist and there's a growing demand for talent. Expert advice from early adopters. Now is a good time to get into the 3D printing business. Commercial 3D printers are becoming widely available. There's massive potential for using 3D printers to make items for commercial use. When items can be printed on demand, companies can save money by not having to invest in inventory. This is going to cause a lot of disruption in many industries while allowing consumers access to uniquely crafted and customized items. My thoughts. Videos like Will 3D Printing Change the World? 7 minutes and 1 second paint a picture that the future belongs to designers who are creative. However, I feel like this is a partial truth. While there are a lot of people who are capable of designing incredibly amazing things, at the end of the day, it comes down to sales. Will these designers be starving artists, or will they make a living at their craft? If designers do not know internet marketing, they better have strategic partners who do. After all, what is the point of designing something amazing and posting it on the internet for sale when no one views the web page or can find it in the billions of web pages that currently exist and the new ones being created every day? Expert advice from the early majority. Now may be a good time to get into 3D printing, but it is a little too soon. People who can afford 3D printers have a novelty or a cool hobby. While the future is heading in that direction, it is too soon to invest in a 3D printing as a career. There are not a lot of companies that are not using 3D printing because it is not practical. If a majority of companies are not using this technology, then there will be a limited number of jobs available. However, as 3D printed objects become more common in our society, then there will become an increasing demand for labor, with the skill set to produce them. My thoughts. I like to compare 3D printers to computers. There was a time when schools did not have computers. The first schools to have computers were usually in affluent neighborhoods. The parents, who were often highly educated, could foresee the need and the benefits of their child learning how to use a computer, even if there was not a specific need at the time. Therefore, parents supported schools in developing computer labs and eventually getting computers into each classroom. Communities formed as a way to join like-minded people. I see this happening in the 3D printing industry with the Makers Movement. The Makers Movement is about individuals working together to support each other in designing, making, and redesigning objects. Many people become engaged because it is about a cool project and learning the necessary skill set to make the project. There's a video of how the Maker Movement connects students to engineering and technology, 6 minutes and 29 seconds, that demonstrates like-minded people coming together and encouraging others to join the movement. Quinn is a student who lives in California who went to the Maker Fair. Quinn got an Arduino, a basic component or electronic platform used for creating interactive electronic toys and objects. Quinn watched the videos online and taught himself a skill set. James Bogboom, the superintendent of Lucia Mar Unified School District, did not know about the Makers Movement until Quinn came to one of the school's board meetings and he talked about what he does with Arduinos and all those circuit boards and things. He really gave us his thoughts on how we need to be more engaging as a school district. Personally, I think it's just a matter of time before 3D printers become common in schools. Expert advice from the late majority. Pursuing a career in 3D printing is risky because it is a novelty. A lot of people who own 3D printers are hobbyists. While 3D printing is not used on a wide scale for commercial use, many companies rely on traditional methods of manufacturing. Therefore, there are not many jobs that require knowledge or skills to design and create 3D printed objects. I would advise not to think about a career in 3D printing until there are plenty of jobs available. My thoughts. There's a certain level of security and comfort we desire for our child. The more security and comfort you want for your child, the less likely you will encourage your child to pursue a career in a non-traditional field. I'm okay with this as long as you know that the people who are the most affluent take the most risk and earn the most rewards. There's a trade-off between risk and rewards. The more comfort and security you want for your child, the less likely your child will monetarily be rewarded. Expert advice from the laggard. Do not encourage your child to pursue a career in 3D printing. Why would you want to spend a lot of money on college tuition for your child to pursue a career where there are not a lot of jobs available? I'm sure there will be in the future a lot of jobs. However, how far into the future? 5, 10, or 15 years? How is your child going to support him or herself until he or she gets a good paying job in this field? The companies that are making money with 3D printers are those that are selling the printers. Your purchase makes the money. Buying a 3D printer is not going to help your child make money when the majority of companies are not using 3D printers to produce most of their goods. My thoughts. If you are afraid of risk and insecurity, then you probably will not encourage your child to enter the 3D printing world until a lot of people have proven that it's possible to have a successful career in this field. The people who get in early are the problem solvers who will solve the challenges that arise with implementing this new technology. Therefore, they will be paid well for being problem solvers. Once all the kinks of the system are smoothed out, the company will need operators to maintain production. While there's a lot more job security in being an operator, They are typically paid less than the people who create and implement the system. Interestingly, while advice from many experts varies widely, it is all true. Therefore, you need to figure out what advice is the best fit for your family. The easiest way to do this is to identify where you are in the technology adoption curve. Are you an innovator, adopter, early majority? Based on where you are, will show you which advice aligns with your values. Now go review the advice from the experts that is in the same spot on the technology adoption curve as you are. Avoid 3D printing frustration with prior preparation made easier. New language is born with new technology is created. Current language is also given new meaning when talking about new technology. Therefore, innovators create their own language when creating a new community that supports the new technology. Outsiders or early adopters adopt the new language, and they become part of the community. However, something interesting happens when the early majority arrives. The early majority is less concerned about learning this new thing, and they are focused on what they can do and how they can incorporate into what they're currently doing. Therefore, they are more likely to use the language of their primary business and apply that language to the new technology. Therefore, when the early majority talks to the early adopters, there is a language barrier. For example, a word or phrase from the design world may have a different meaning than in the 3D printed world. As Tracy Hazard, who writes a column for Inc.com titled Ink by Design says, the language of 3D printing is not the language of design. Tracy Hazard. As the industry evolves, so will the language. It is reasonable to expect that as 3D printing evolves, a larger percentage of goods on the market will be 3D printed. If you are concerned about your child pursuing a career in the area where there is still a lot of uncertainty, then you may want to consider having your child learn the traditional form of design and manufacturing and be aware of 3D printing. As such, your child can go to school and get a job in the traditional design and manufacturing that already exists. If your child is exposed to 3D printing, then your child will be able to more easily adapt as 3D printing becomes a common business practice. An easy, cost-effective way to expose your child to the language of both 3D printing and design is to listen to the podcast WTFFF, What the Fused Filament Fabrication. Tracy Hazard and her partner Tom Hazard focus on what design software to use, what printer to buy, what tools to use, what designs you should print, what new materials are out, and what your business strategy should be. On the 3D Printing Podcast, they interview the who is who in 3D print, art, and design, along with others who can help you figure out your what. They share with you how others in the field are creating successful designs and their own how-to tools and tips on the 3D Printing Podcast Ask Us Anything segments. Tuning in regularly to a podcast is a great way to supplement your child's education with real advice from the pros. Learn where to go further for 3D printing exploration. I think it is safe to assume that you and I can agree that it is smart for your child to learn about traditional design and manufacturing in order to find a job after graduating college and be aware of 3D printing so your child can more easily adapt to 3D printing as it becomes a common business practice. However, your family has a new dilemma. Where does your child go to learn about 3D printing? Should your child go back to school to get a degree in 3D printing? What other options are available? There are lots of options available. However, I'm hesitant to introduce you to two wonderful people who may be one of the best solutions available. I'm afraid of making an introduction and you will not follow up. I know things happen and you are busy and sometimes things naturally slip through the cracks. However, I will be really disappointed if I make an introduction and you do not highly value the introduction. I'm really concerned that you are not going to see the full value and therefore not make time to follow up. I agree with the saying that people tend to value what they pay for. If I introduce you to two people and their website that has easy to digest content that can save your child years of frustration in a related relevant career field, and your family has access to professionals with years of experience, all for zero cost, then how likely are you to value the resource provided? I suspect you and your child may not visit the website often, or when you do visit, it will be a short visit. The reason this is such a concern for me is that many colleges are not able to update their curriculum and keep up with the rapidly advancing changes in technology and how it is affecting industries. You are happy to spend thousands of dollars so your child can go to college, and you're even willing to get in debt so your child can have a college education. But are you willing to spend time and help your child understand current practices that can help your child avoid years of trial and error and become a person whose expertise is highly valuable? Before I introduce you to a wonderful resource, let me introduce you to two wonderful people. Tracy and Tom Hazard are business and life partners. Tracy Hazard is known as the Product Fixer. Tracy is CEO of industrial design firm Has Design and co-designer of 250 plus consumer products you buy at retail every day. Since graduating from Rhode Island School of Design more than 20 years ago, she has been cutting, cleaning, and creating for companies of all sizes, pushing them to rethink their product lines to strategically design in success and increase revenue. A proponent of international innovation, Tracy is the co-inventor of 35 patents. Tracy also writes a column for Inc.com titled Ink by Design. Tom Hazard is co-founder and COO of design firm Has Design. Tom holds 37 utility and design patents with an 86% commercial rate and co-designed of 253 consumer products bought every day, generating over $950 million for his clients. Tracy and Tom's industrial design firm Has Design has been featured in Inc., Architecture, Fortune, Small Business, CNN Money, Wired, Icon, Orange County Register, Diablo, iTunes, Homeworld, SoCal Maker Con, Home Furnishing News, Philly.com, Maker Faire San Diego, and Home Business. This incredible team foresees their clients becoming increasingly interested in 3D printing as more companies begin to adopt the technology. Therefore, they have decided to explore the 3D printing world together and allow us to join their journey. Tracy and Tom use 3D printers and interview and ask experts great questions. Tracy and Tom share more than what design software to use, what printer to buy, what tools to use, what designs you should print, what new materials are out, and what your business strategy should be. They share tips and tricks that can easily help your child, that your child can use immediately based on their years of experience. Your child can also engage by submitting a question to their site. Tracy and Tom will answer select questions on their 3D printing podcast, Ask Us Anything segment. Tracy and Tom share a wealth of their knowledge via podcasting, which includes guest interviews and a question and answer segment, and their blog posts, which also include videos. Here are 3 interesting posts to pique your interest. 1. 3D printing in pop culture. how Hollywood has caught on to the technology. 2. 3D printed Mother's Day's gifts, 2006. 3. What kind of 3D printing careers are there? To learn more about 3D printing, please visit Tracy and Tom's website, 3dstartpoint.com, and tune into their podcast, WTFFF, What the Fused Filament Fabrication. Should your child consider a career in 3D printing? I think so. The industry is continuing to grow and evolve. At the time of crafting this post, 3D printers is being used more widely in some industries than others. The entertainment industry is using 3D printing for its cost and time-saving abilities for props and representing mock-up ideas. Other industries, such as the medical industry, will implement 3D printing technology in patient care at a much slower rate for safety reasons. Overall, many experts agree that the future of 3D printing will impact many industries, although no one knows the details of the future. Your child can learn about 3D printing and avoid frustration with prior preparation made easier. Your child can become a listener of a podcast and a frequent visitor of a website. You and your child can choose to follow experts in this field and learn from their years of experience and enjoy their incredible generosity of sharing information they have vetted on their website. Which 3D printing experts is your family going to follow in order to learn more about 3D printing and career opportunities? Thank you for taking the time to watch this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you are interested in some more information, then I encourage you to subscribe and grab your free gift by visiting the website, grabyourfreegift.com/Crystal O. It is a PDF book on the what, where, and how of preparing for college. And what I do is every week I send out a weekly email with a blog post, an inspirational quote, and occasional bonuses. And I encourage you to, in your email, create a folder, ! Career Conversationalist. This way you can save your emails and you can have easy access and find them quickly when there's an episode that you want to review. I also would like to take a quick moment to thank Google for the technology that is making this broadcast possible. This broadcast is being made on Google Hangouts, and if for some reason you're not able to watch the live broadcast, then the recording will be made possible thanks to YouTube. So thank you so much, Google. Once again, thank you so much for your time, and I will look forward to our paths crossing again soon. Take care.